Greetings, students. Today in this video, we're going to learn how to use the library database called History and Context. Now we have two databases that fall into this category. One is U.S. History and Context, and the other one is World History and Context. The two databases function entirely the same, other than the fact that one is only covering specifically the U.S. and one is covering the greater world. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get in there. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you so you can see what we're doing as we go. All right, so from the St. Philip's College website, the way you would get to our databases is, of course, you're going to first go into the library. So the way you get into the library is you click on Menu, and you scroll on down here, and you click on Library. And we'll wait for that to pop. Here we go. And now that we're in the library homepage, you're going to look under Library Resources, and that is where you will find library databases. So I'm going to click on the library databases, and there's this huge list of databases. And like I said, there's the two different history and context databases. There's the U.S. History and Context and World History and Context. I'm going to go ahead and start us off in World History and Context just so we can see it because they both function the same way, but keep in mind that both of those exist. So I'm going to click on W here. And I'm going to go to World History, Gale in Context, right here. And here you go. Now, I've already logged in earlier today, so I immediately went into the databases. If you haven't logged into any databases yet, a screen's going to pop up, and the screen's going to ask you to log in with a username and password. It will tell you on that screen, but just so you know now, the username is your ACES ID, and the password is your banner ID. So you'll put in those two things. Now, if that does not work for you, please do contact us as soon as possible. You can do that through the library chat feature, or you can send us an email. We can get you put back into the system right away, but we don't know if you don't tell us. So if you're having any trouble getting into the databases, please contact us so we can troubleshoot it. And if it's just a situation where you were bumped out of the system, we can get you added back in. So this is a little bit about what history and context looks like. And you'll see here that what we have available is right here you can search, just general search terms like you would if you were, say, doing a Google search. But you can also look through a list of topics. And it's where I recommend for people to start. It's good in two different ways. I'm going to click on this Browse Topics right here, Browse Topics. One, if you haven't been able to come up with an idea, like you have an open-ended assignment where you're just supposed to write on kind of anything of interest, this is a good place to find topics that are heavily covered in this database. But also, if you do have a topic already, you might find it here, and then that way you're not struggling to find the right keywords to search for. You'll just look directly here. So I'm looking through, we see tons of different topics available. All sorts of interesting things because, you know, we've got the whole world to look at. I'm going to scroll on down and I'm going to click on existentialism. And this is what happens when you click on any of these topics. You come here to this page. The first thing it's going to give you is an overview. It's going to let you know like a little bit about like what is existentialism, who are maybe some of the big players in it, like, you know, Simone de Beauvoir, Sartre, Camus. It'll tell you a little bit about that. You can click on this read more and get a full overview if you'd like. And that can also be particularly important if you're trying to figure out how to narrow down your topic, because like existentialism, for instance, is a huge topic. There have been several books written about existentialism. So if you're going to write a paper that's 3 or 5 or 10 pages, you're going to need to narrow down to a specific aspect. And by looking at this overview, you might get an idea. Now, as you scroll on down the page, you'll notice that it says here, like on this page, there's featured content, academic journals, primary sources. It lets you know what kinds of information are available. So that can help you decide whether or not you've found enough here. So like there's 36 academic journal articles, there's 24 magazine articles. And featured content's a lot of times stuff more like what you'd find like say in an encyclopedia or an almanac, something like that. So as I'm looking through, I see all these different articles. Primary source information, of course, is directly from the original source. Those can be very interesting. They'll have some images, audio files. I found that usually the audio files are something from NPR, so they're high quality. News from newspapers. And the websites are good because if your instructors allowed you to venture out into the open web for things, when you look at these websites, you're looking at ones that have already been vetted. So you know that they're high quality and that they're permissible to use in something like a research paper. So keep all of that in mind as you're searching through here. Now, when we find something we like see under academic journals, we have The Actress and Bouvier, shining a spotlight on Regina and All Men Are Mortal. So I'm going to click on the title, just so you can get an example of what these look like. And the full text of the article pops up right here. And there's some cool things that you can do in this database to make your life easier. If you look right here at the top, there's a translate feature. So if you read in a language other than English more comfortably, so if you'd rather read in French or if you'd rather read in German or something like that, you can have this article translated into the language that you read more comfortably in, and that will make your life a little simpler. You can also increase or decrease the font size. So if the print's too small, you can make it bigger. And here you can actually listen to the article as opposed to reading it. So if you're more of an auditory person, this could be very beneficial for you. So keep that in mind. Other things that you can do right here, you can send it to your Google Drive, you can send the article to your OneDrive, you can email it to yourself, you can download it. All of those things are available as well. If you look up way up here at the top, you'll also see that you can click citation tools, you can hit print tools if you have a printer at home, and you can also make highlights and notes right here on the page. What's really cool about the highlights and notes is if you read here and make highlights and notes and then send it to, say, your Google Drive or your OneDrive, it will actually save all of those notes when it sends it to you. So pretty effective. So now we're scrolling down here, we see the full text of the article. And another thing that you want to be aware of is as we're reading the whole article, it goes on and on for quite a while. Towards the end, you'll see the works cited. So these are the works that were used in this article. So sometimes that's a good, helpful place for finding more articles on your topic. And all the way at the end, when you get past that, you'll see a source citation. So in this database, as well as in U.S. history in context, as well as like opposing viewpoints in context, pretty much all of the databases that have in context next to their name, there's an automatic MLA citation at the bottom of each article, which you can just copy and paste into your paper. You'll notice here that also you can have that changed to an APA or a Chicago as well. So if you need a different citation style for your class or whatever you're writing, that's available to you too. So that will help get you started on finding articles and utilizing this database. I do recommend typically for students when they're researching, find your articles first and read them later. It just makes your brain a little bit happier if you do the piece where you're gathering at one time and then later when you have gathered several articles, sit down and read and digest that material. Your brain will like to separate out those tasks. But that's pretty much the way this one works, and hopefully that will help. And like I said, this translates very easily to U.S. history and context as well. So I hope that's helpful to you and that you guys will have a great day. Thanks a lot.